What up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today, I just wanted to come on here and share some words, some ideas, and some insights I have on the subject of blessings and curses, and how I think as humans we have or at least as followers of Yahuwah, Bible believers, and I'll say Christians as well, how we have this idea of blessings and curses kind of backwards, and I'll elaborate more on that. I think a lot of us go through life expecting um big blessings, right? In the form of monetary value, um physical, tangible um things. And I think when it comes to blessings and curses, um and I wouldn't say blessings and curses, but more so, um yeah, blessings and curses. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm trying to do a better job of not taking as many pauses as I speak, because as I've reviewed some of my past videos, I've noticed that I have a tendency of taking a lot of pauses, and it's probably not very satisfying to the viewer. So I'm trying to do a better um job of speaking more thoroughly, or smoothly, trying to flow more as I speak. So bear with me, and I apologize in advance if I'm not doing a very good job of that, but I'm trying to get better. So on the topic of blessings and curses, I think as humans we have it backwards, right? And what I mean by that is, throughout our life we look at all the bad moments in our life and all the trials and tribulations and hardships that we face as almost curses or setbacks, or just bad things, right? Because they bring pain, they bring suffering, they bring the breaking down of ourselves physically, spiritually, and mentally. And when we think of blessings, we think of winning the lottery, and finally getting that car, and finally being able to have that certain amount of um, money in our bank accounts, or finally, getting accepted to that school, or growing a business, etc., etc. And so we look at blessings as the end result of all the suffering, all the hardship, and all the work that we put in. But I believe that the real blessing is the hardship, it's the pain, it's the suffering, it's the um those long endless working nights, the car accident that resulted in in you maybe taking a different path or a different timeline, right? And I know that's kind of dramatic, but you know let's say something bad happens to you and you are in a car accident. Who's to say that further down the road that car accident stopped you from potentially even losing your life? And I understand that people lose their lives in car accidents, but I'm talking in the perspective of one who survived, and it wasn't as bad as it could have been, right? You would look at that accident as a setback. You would look at the pain and the suffering as curses, right? And I guess I'm speaking um from my perspective, and I look back at my life, and I've thought about all the hardship that I have had to endure. And not to make it about me, or I'm not trying to receive pity, or like trying to get you guys to feel bad for me, because that's not the case. But I think back, and I think everyone who's watching this video can think back at times in their life where they faced hard um, maybe situations or choices to make, and at that moment you might have thought that, that, like, why is this happening to me, or why is God doing this to me, or you know why. And so I say that all to go back to my point that I think the real blessing in life is to suffer. um I know that's kind of difficult to hear because people lose loved ones, people um get into really horrible car accidents, and they break their legs, and they can't walk anymore, and people go to the military, and they come back with PTSD, like, oh, how could you say that's a blessing? But I truly believe that in this life you have to suffer, and the suffering in itself is what makes life beautiful, and what um makes this all worth it. I recently watched The Giver. It's a really good movie. I've rewatched that movie a couple times, and in the movie, people don't feel, they don't see, they can't understand more than just what the people who are in control want them to, and so they are essentially just robots in a way, right? Although obviously they're not mechanic or anything like that, but they've taken away that free will and the ability to feel, and they're basically robots, right? And in the movie, there's a person who, although they live in this utopian world, there's one guy who is able to still remember and feel, to then guide the now current society into, further in the future, so that they don't commit the same mistakes, right? But that movie made me think and realize how, what's the point of life, right? If you can't feel, if you can't think, if you can't suffer, if you can't grow from these hardships. And so I hope I'm making sense here, but I've just realized this whole month that in life, suffering and going through hardships is what makes this life beautiful. Um, all of us, maybe not all of us, but the majority of us would want to get to a point where we don't have to suffer, right? We want the money in the world to do everything we can and not have to wake up and go to work, not have to um do these things that um create hardship in our life. But if we have all of it, if we have everything and we have no pain and no suffering, and what's the point, right? And then for there to be uh good in this world, there has to be bad. So just wanted to come out here and just share that idea of how I think blessings and curses are flipped. I think the real blessing in this life is not the end result of the hardships, but the hardships in themselves, because through those hardships and through that suffering, good comes out of that. So the real blessing in my perspective, and I think everybody should adopt this perspective in life, and is that to switch that thought process on blessings and cursings, and think of the blessings as the hardest moments in your life, and the curses could be um those, like, quick wins, and like winning the lottery, right? Like, somebody might think that winning the lottery is a blessing, some people might think that signing that record deal signing that record deal, or or might be the blessing, or you getting that winning the lottery, for example. A lot of people might see that as the blessing, right? Because, oh, now all your problems are fixed. But I think that's why in the Bible, angels are perceived as these almost scary looking beings, right? hence why every person who encounters a angel is afraid, because it might be ugly, it might be just not what you would expect, right? Yet the devil masquerades as an angel of light. So everything that you want to see, everything that you want to perceive, what is fruit or candy to the eye, that's what the devil is. But the real angel, the real blessing, the real um beauty is the hardships and the difficult times in our life. And I think when you apply this perspective in your life, having that shift, that 180-degree turn when it comes to those two things, I think will help you in going on in life and really embracing the difficult moments in your life. And instead of looking at them as curses, you're going to realize that because of those things, you have been able to develop, you have been able to get further, physically, spiritually, mentally, financially. And that was the real blessing in your life. Not the end result, but the journey that it took you to get there. And I hope you guys took something from this video. I hope I made sense. Uh, I was pretty excited to make this video because I've been thinking about these things for a couple weeks now, and I had that epiphany the other day, right? Because this month has been very uh I don't want to say hard, but it's been uh it's been a rocky month, I would say, for me in every aspect of my life, you know, from relationships to finances to my own mental being. So I'm going to continue to see life in that way, because seeing it that way has just brought so much clarity and peace to me when it comes to hardships in life. And I just hope you guys could take something from this video, and thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and peace, blessings, and love to your family, loved ones, friends, and all those around you. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching.